Thoughts coming your way from the conference that's looking at the possibilities of Mumbai turning into a mega city. Yes, it's the event that's been organized by Mumbai First. Well, our next guest is Ms. Sonia Sethi, who's from the Maharashtra Jeevan Pradhikaran. Ma'am, it's great to have you here. Thanks for taking out the time talking to us. Now, I know you focused your talk on water management and efficient systems and efficient water utilization for a city like Mumbai. What are some of, let's first start by understanding where Mumbai stacks up right now, how it stacks up vis-a-vis desired levels where it should be.
Thank you. Actually, it's been my privilege to share my thoughts in this panel. And I was just mentioning to you that we had a very good mix of practitioners and academicians who were speaking on the subject. So just coming to the bigger picture, you know, in the MMR region, the board that I represent, the Water Supply and Sewerage Board, is actually working with two municipalities and actually a municipal corporation, where we're actually trying to reach up to the service level benchmarks which the Government of India has identified and defined for water efficiency. So coming back to your specific question on how, you know, so I think basically in all the corporations and municipalities in this area, each one of them would have achieved different levels in the service level benchmarks that are the ideal, you know, in any water supply scheme. But I think the focus here is on executing those interventions or reforms which will lead up to achieving those ideals. You know, so I think as I spoke in my presentation also, with reference to the MSNA program of the Government of Maharashtra, I spoke about, you know, interventions like water audit, energy audit, GIS mapping, consumer surveys, hydraulic modeling, as interventions which, if undertaken efficiently, will definitely you know, aid local bodies in achieving the service level benchmarks. And I think a very smart and a very sort of effective policy which the Government of Maharashtra has executed in its business model to make schemes more efficient in the urban sector in Maharashtra is to actually incentivize local bodies in a way that if they execute these reforms and design efficient schemes and manage them efficiently, there is a financial or a capital you know, grant component which is associated with that. So I think in order to avail the grant by you know, the Government of Maharashtra, these reforms have to be undertaken. And I think if we sort of you know, invest in terms of both, you know, the financial aspect and the efforts and the interventions that are required for the reform process, I think the day is not far when almost all the local bodies in the region and also in the rest of the state will be very close or even will be able to achieve the service level benchmarks that are you know, sort of the ideals in the sector. I, for one, gave the case study of the municipalities of Ambarnath and Badlapur, which is about 80 kilometers from here. And there we have almost been able to achieve the service level benchmarks with these interventions.
Okay, so for particularly the MMR region, the Mumbai metropolitan region, what are the next most critical steps that should be taken or ought to be taken when it comes to water management?
I think, as was also mentioned and highlighted in the water supply section in the seminar, in Mumbai, water source or water availability is not the issue. I think what we need to concentrate is on the distribution network. And there some of the interventions that I talked about would help to design schemes where we are able to cut what is actually the bane of our city, and not particularly our city but even elsewhere, which is what we call non-revenue water, which is actually you know, the unaccounted water or the leakages and all of that, which actually means that people are not paying for the water that they're using. So I think what needs to be done on priority is to actually take both technical steps and also management you know, interventions which will help to curb you know, the quantum or the percentage of non-revenue water. And I think you know, interventions like smart metering and, you know, which are very important for efficient water distribution, I think are challenges for practitioners, and that is something which we are taking steps towards.
Now, the city obviously is expanding dramatically on both the axis, the north-south and the east-west, from almost Vasai now in the north to almost Panvel in the east. So as a lot of this urbanization continues and a lot of real estate development continues, will the city have enough water?
I think I kind of answered your question in a way, in the previous answer, that the availability of water, fortunately, is not the critical issue.
Okay.
I think water management, water distribution, and I think also just coming back to a little basic ideological question of change of mindset from seeing water as a social good to an economic good is something which I think we need to sort of work on, where people must be sensitized to and made aware that they need to pay for the water that they're consuming. And I think once these sort of this ideological change and the interventions that actually will make people pay and make schemes more viable, and as I just mentioned, curbing the leakages and what we call technically as the non-revenue water. If we can actually sort of overcome that, I don't think that either finances or availability of water is actually the issue.
Sure.
Yeah.
Now, just one or two questions beyond water before we wrap up, because you've had such a vast experience both in the public-private partnership model. I think you were with IDFC and then with the Maharashtra State Road Development Corporation, so different roles. And the citizen is always grappling with the multiple civic agencies, and things seem to move slowly, especially when it comes to Mumbai. How has it been for you? I mean, is it at a level frustrating, or do you think there is that the pace of change hopefully will start improving in the years to come?
Well, actually, let me steal a phrase from one of the professors who was speaking in the panel, that having multiple agencies in mega cities is not an issue which is particular only to Mumbai. I think the world over, because of the magnanimity of the civic issues involved, there are multiple agencies, and even in a sector like water, there are multiple agencies. There will be local bodies, there will be parastatal agencies like ours, and there will be the government and various non-government organizations, and stakeholders. There will always be multiple agencies which will be involved. So I don't think it's a problem particular to Mumbai. I think what's important here is to actually just sort of put our heads together and to have platforms. I mean, Mumbai First is an excellent initiative which actually provides some kind of a platform for multiple agencies to come together in a more informal way. Of course, there are formal platforms where government brings all the implementing and planning and executing agencies together to sort of tackle a problem. But I think these fora also help, where there is a platform to articulate the concerns of course,
so do you
stakeholders.
See at all a change in mindsets, perhaps after the unfortunate floods or the unfortunate terror attacks, where people within these agencies perhaps are now willing to work together, maybe a little more cohesively, or maybe again I'm talking about that rate of change or the pace of work, whether that starts sort of improving and starts getting hastened in the years to come?
Certainly, I think as consumer awareness increases and as accountability and transparency in government increases, I think it's only a matter of time, and we were always in a process of self-improvement, I think. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Great talking to you.